Hey guys, Slev here, and this is another episode of Sidearm Shenanigans, the video series where I'm only allowed to use my sidearm, grenades, tools, basically anything that's not a primary weapon. Today I am using the brand new Stalker Cloak, which actually fits very well with this because you don't get a primary weapon anyway. It's like built for Sidearm Shenanigans. So I'm also using the brand new sidearm in the game, the crossbow. This thing is amazing. I love this gun. This is one of my favorite guns they have ever put in the game. Combine that with the new cloak, and I am a happy man. So, let's talk a little bit about this gun and the cloak. We'll start with the cloak, because that's probably the harder one to understand. I mean, the crossbow is a crossbow, let's face it. So, the Hunter Cloak, or excuse me, the Stalker Cloak. Well, actually, you know what? Let's start with the Hunter. So, the Hunter is the original cloak, the cloak that has a time limit on it, and then you need to turn it off to regenerate it. The Stalker also does have a time limit, but it's got this nice feature that when you're standing still, it will regenerate even if you're cloaked. This allows you to remain permanently cloaked if you so choose. You still cannot fire your weapon while cloaked, however. That's an important caveat. So, the cloak is amazing. It's amazing because you can get places where the Stalker or the Hunter, I'm going to mix these up a lot, so if I make a mistake, point it out in comments and I'll try to fix it. The Stalker lets you get places the Hunter won't. The Hunter has this problem, yes, the Hunter. Oh my god. The Hunter has this problem that there are certain places where you won't make it from one bit of cover to another, or the bit of cover that you can get to isn't good enough. And the Stalker really helps alleviate that problem, because the Stalker allows us to stand in the middle of the field if we want, and keep ourselves stealth. Now, granted, standing in the middle of the field with an infiltrator is still a pretty poor idea, but you get the point. But I think I've talked enough about the cloak. You guys probably understand how cloaks work. They aren't that perplexing. So let's get to the weapon, because the weapon is awesome. So, the crossbow has a ton of unique features. Let's start with the primary one. It's like having a primary, but it's your secondary. So, okay, it's not really like having a primary. It's weaker than any primary, but it's got some great advantages to it. So, the closest thing I could equate the crossbow to would be a pump-action shotgun with slugs. Now, I've actually done a video, and I'll leave a link up in the corner to that if you want to watch that, and I've talked about how god-awful pump-action with slugs is. The crossbow, on the other hand, has a ton of advantages that I really like. So, first off, it's a secondary, which means depending on what you're playing, you might also have a primary. For instance, maybe you're running with an SMG and you decide to use the crossbow as kind of your long-range sidearm. That's a pretty powerful one. There's also a couple other great features about it. One of them is the new ammo types for it. So I am using only the default bolts in this, and I'll talk about why I'm using only default bolts. But I'm only using default crossbow bolts. There also are explosive bolts, which do pretty much what they mean, and I will say now they are impact explosives, compared with like the Call of Duty explosive dart, that is delayed timer. I believe it's a 2-second timer. These are on-contact explosives. Or the sensor bolt. The sensor bolt is basically an infiltrator's sensor dart. It's not quite as good. It's basically a level 1 sensor dart. And I'm not using either of those. And the reason for this is the explosive bolts require 3 shots on contact, I believe, to get a kill. They require more direct hits to get a kill. And with the way I'm using this weapon, I'm relying on direct hits. The splash damage just doesn't seem very useful to me. However, there are situations like this Sunderer right here, where being able to rain explosive bolts down on that Sunderer would actually be very beneficial. So, let's talk about the good of this weapon. It's got great range. Now, it is a crossbow, so your bolts are kind of dropping, but they aren't dropping that much. You've probably already seen a couple of the longer range shots I've managed to pull off. The most difficult thing with this weapon is just leading. It's very slow. But if you've used something like a sniper rifle with a silencer, you probably won't have too much trouble with this weapon. The other issue is it's 4 shots to reload, and you have to pump or cock the crossbow between every shot, which can be problematic. Now, you'll see here, the best part about this weapon, though, is you can do the one-shot knife trick, and it'll work on, as far as I've been able to tell, any target, any level of nano weave, you can do one shot and get the knife kill. So, and here you can see me standing there, waiting. I'm basically waiting for my cloak to come back. If you see me just sitting somewhere for a while, it usually means I was waiting for my cloak. So, you see I have the 2x sight on this crossbow, in case you couldn't tell what. There's also the 1x, the Iron V, the 3 and 4x, and you might even get access to the 6x. I don't remember exactly. I think the 2x is the best for the range you're going to use this. And I also would recommend a laser sight. I don't have one on here right now, but I would heavily recommend a laser sight, because you will be hip firing this occasionally, especially since you're an infiltrator. All in all, I think this is an amazing weapon, and I think combined with the Stalker Cloak, it's going to make a lot of infiltrators really scary and really competitive in the game. More competitive than the SMGs did when they first came out. I feel they've diminished in their usefulness over time. But that's all I have for today. If you liked the video or liked hearing me talk or anything about the video, please like and subscribe for more. If you want to get more, you can follow me on Twitter at Stygiiis with 2 eyes. You can add me in-game, all of my names are in the comments, and, as always, have a nice day.